And here at this citadel of American virtue, 87 fallen angels in the West Point family, including Second Lieutenant David Rylander, who some of you knew, who was killed early this month in an IED attack in Afghanistan.
Younger?
Our hearts go out to his family.
No, not really.
The President and I, indeed all Americans, stand in all of his and all that went before his commitment.
I'll stay here.
And to their sacrifice. Our country owes these heroes and their families a debt of gratitude we will never be able to fully repay. One that we will never forget, because if institutions like this continue to stand. One that we honor today. And here at this academy and every other academy and every place where military personnel gather, we'll never forget. We remember every day. Winding down these long roars is enabling us to replace and rebalance our foreign policy, to take on the full range of challenges that will shape the 21st century, challenges different than those of the 20th century. When President Obama and I came to office, we were convinced that our nation had reached a strategic turning point, requiring us to rebalance our foreign policy. While we will remain a substantial, vigilant presence in the Middle East and partners with the Afghanis that will outlast our combat mission, we are now able to begin to focus our attention and resources on other regions and other challenges that will be incredibly critical to our nation's future in the 21st century. We're revitalizing American alliances, and particularly NATO, the greatest military alliance the world has ever known. Because as the President has rightly said, Europe is the cornerstone of our engagement with the world. We learned during the Libya campaign, which saved thousands of innocents and helped topple a murderous dictator, that there is almost nothing we cannot accomplish when NATO and our partners act decisively, and when we actually share the burden of the responsibility. And at this week's summit in NATO, in Chicago, NATO strengthened its defense capabilities for years ahead, including adding equipment it had not had, only we had, by acquiring a fleet of unmanned aircraft for intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. Rebalancing our foreign policy also means refocusing on the most dynamic region of the world's economy, the global economy, Asia. The United States has long been and will remain a Pacific power and a critical provider of peace, prosperity, and security in this vital region. The most critical relationship to get right is that between the United States and China. Every day, the affairs of our nations and the livelihoods of our citizens grow more connected. How we manage this relationship between the world's two largest economies, although we're still almost 3 times as large as theirs. How we do this will help shape the 21st century. This obviously doesn't mean we'll always see eye to eye, including on issues like human rights. Nor does it mean we will not compete with each other economically. As I said when I was in China, we Americans welcome this competition, which drives us to do better and better. Because there's no doubt that America can compete and America will win whenever and wherever the playing field is level.
Recording.
Ultimately, that's what America is focused on in the Asia Pacific. Empowering cooperative relationships, clear rules of the road, so that that region can continue its peaceful development and that our people can prosper. We've also forged stronger relationships with emerging powers like India, Russia, Brazil, Turkey, South Africa. And all these efforts are helping advance America's interests at home and around the world. Add to that we dealt with the potential of the gravest threat to to mankind. We reduced our reliance on nuclear weapons and the size of our nuclear arsenal. And in the New START Treaty, we got the Russians to reduce theirs as well. We brought the world together to secure nuclear materials and prevent those materials from getting in the hands of terrorists. And we isolated countries like Iran and North Korea, whose nuclear programs threaten not only us, but world peace and stability. At the same time, we demonstrated that we don't have to choose between protecting our country and living the values we preach. We shut down secret prisons overseas and we banned torture. It was the right thing to do. It enhanced our power of persuasion around the world and the security of our soldiers stationed around the world. President Obama also knew we needed to ensure our military was postured to meet these new objectives and new challenges. And just as General George C. Marshall wanted a West Point graduate for that pivotal mission when World War II hung in the balance, President Obama determined that we needed a new defense strategy to meet the needs of this country, and he turned, as Marshall called for, turned to graduates of this great institution and other service academies. He turned to men like Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Martin Dempsey, West Point Class of '76, and General Ray Odierno, Chief of Staff of the Army, Class of '74. The defense strategy they crafted provided a more agile, flexible force prepared for future challenges, better able to confront the aggressor and project power, with strong partnerships to share the burden, and smart investments in cutting-edge capability. And we proposed a budget to fund that strategy. A budget that not only funds the strategy, but first and foremost keeps faith with our wounded warriors, our veterans and their families. Because in America, we own our government has only one truly sacred obligation: prepare those we send to war and care for their families and them when they come home. No one knows better than this audience that America's unique role in the world requires that we maintain the world's finest fighting force. That's a non-negotiable issue, and that's exactly what this strategy does. West Point has prepared you to lead us to face these new challenges, some of which we have yet to even contemplate, let alone encounter. Because I said at the start, you're not only strong and committed, you're also some of our nation's sharpest minds, with the training to take today's mission, counterinsurgency, counterterrorism, training foreign armies, and the minds to adapt to tomorrow's horizons, from cyberspace to outer space. There's such a proud history, such a proud tradition. And I have no doubt that many of you in this class are not only going to make extraordinary contributions to the military, but also to civilian life. Because West Point is in the business of producing leaders, not only great officers, it produces great leaders and great Americans. As President Theodore Roosevelt said upon West Point's centennial 110 years ago next month, and I quote him, he said, "Your duty here at West Point has been to fit men to do well in war. But it is a noteworthy fact that you also have fitted them to do singularly well in peace. The highest positions in the land have been held, not exceptionally, but again and again by West Pointers. West Pointers who have risen to the first rank in all occupations of civilian life. Were he here today, he'd only alter that quote slightly. Young men and women are prepared to do that." The class of 2012, this is your destiny, to lead your country. You are the leaders of your generation, that 9/11 generation, which I predict will go down in history as the finest generation this nation has ever produced. I've had many honors as Vice President of the United States, but none greater than being able to salute you today. May God bless you and protect you, and may God protect and bless all those who wear the uniform of the United States of America. Congratulations.